A lot of the stories are, I don't know, not very good reading sometimes, you know. I just had to skip over the bad bits.
As the grim news went around, Bond's friends and bandmates dealt with the pain of this crushing blow.
I mean, that was Bond's life. I mean, you know, even though he was this sweet, lovely guy, he did drink a lot. He did sort of live the rock and roll lifestyle to its absolute extreme. But, gee, you know, Bond had been drunk before. I mean, Bond shouldn't have died.
It was a loss to us of this incredible character that all of us had embraced, and he'd embraced us all.
Work on AC/DC's new album was suspended, and Malcolm and Angus flew home to Australia to lend support to Bond's parents and mourn the loss of a man who'd become a brother to them.
When you're younger, you don't really think that something like death is going to touch you. You know, I'd never really had that, you know, a tragedy that close, you know, and especially someone like Bond. It was just one of those things where, you know, one day somebody's there and it's so hard to believe that the next day they're not there.
On March the 1st, 1980, Bon Scott was buried in Fremantle, the town where he was raised.
You go through the motions of the funeral and everything else, but you're just numb. You know, you're just dumbfounded. You can't believe what's really happened, you know.
I don't think we'll ever get over that one, you know. We wanted to continue the band, but we just didn't have the will to.
Without Bon, the surviving band members believed AC/DC was dead, but Bon's parents encouraged them to keep the band alive, that Bon would have wanted it that way.
Let's, you know, we've got their blessing, you know, so let's go and try and do something.
But after 5 years with Bon Scott up front, raising hell and raising the roof, AC/DC's future looked dim to a lot of outsiders. Although the band were reeling from the loss of their friend and lead singer, it was the band's founding members, Angus and Malcolm, who decided not to let AC/DC die with him.
Malcolm and Angus decided that we should just steam on.
And we all agreed that the last person that would want to see it fold would be Bon.
Finding a lead singer to replace Bon Scott was a daunting task. Bon's powerful voice and on-stage antics had been central to AC/DC's success. Their search led to Brian Johnson.
And I saw them on television, a program called Rock Goes to College.
They are, of course, AC/DC. They're just about to start a tour.
I was just transfixed with Angus and Bon. And these two guys up the front were two of the greatest characters I think I'd ever seen, you know, especially Angus, you know, with his antics. And I was hooked.
Brian auditioned for a band that was feeling mixed emotions about replacing the friend that they buried only a month earlier.
There would never be another Bond, but Brian walked in one day for an audition. We just felt really comfortable with him, and again, he could sing his balls out.
AC/DC hired Brian in April of 1980 and got down to the task of making their first album without Bon Scott. The music of the album, its title and its cover, were all dedicated to Bon's memory.
We wanted just a simple black cover. We wouldn't have even done him justice in the words. Also, even, you know, with the bell and the beginning of Hell's Bells, it was our own little tribute.
We were determined to make a good album, you know, to make the thing work. Not to prove ourselves, but to show we could still get the unit cranking.
I obviously was still thinking about Bon. You know, I remember Brian remarked a couple of times that how it was kind of eerie for him.
During the emotional sessions for Back in Black, Brian Johnson stepped up to the microphone and let it rip.
I remember just going up there and just crossing my fingers and just belting my lungs out as high and as hard as I could with as much feeling as I could. I mean, I wanted to impress these guys.
As Brian and the band prepared for the upcoming Back in Black tour, there was apprehension about how their new lead singer would be accepted by the fans.
It was the first time ever I'd be singing some of Bond's songs. Nerve-wracking it was real nerve-wracking.
Brian was very worried, you know, at the time, and but we thought, well, you just hang in there, Brian. You just do what you do best.
The fans embraced AC/DC's new lead singer. Released in the summer of 1980, Back in Black sold 16 million copies to become one of the 10 best-selling albums in rock and roll history.
To come back that strong with a new vocalist is an absolutely remarkable feat for them to accomplish.
She was a fast machine, she kept the motor clean. She was the best damn woman that I ever seen.
AC/DC's musical memorial to Bon Scott hit the top 5 on 3 continents, and Back in Black turned out to be a huge hit in the States. The album's phenomenal success proved an impossible act to follow.
After Back in Black, it was so huge. The world was waiting for this, you know, for this follow-up. And I just don't think you can do it. It's like the stock market today, it's going to fall down sometime, you know. I mean,
But falling album sales were only the start of a streak of bad luck that would hang over AC/DC throughout the 80s. In the spring of 1985, AC/DC became linked to the investigation of a murder case in California.
Upon investigating that murder, one of the pieces of evidence that was left behind was a hat bearing the letters AC/DC on it.
In an attempt to track down the infamous killer known as the Night Stalker, homicide detective Gil Carrillo released a picture of the hat to the press.
What the significance was trying to get attention through the media to see if anybody knew somebody that wore an AC/DC hat that might call in.
Sheriff Department, Martinez, help you?
The county was held in terror. They were full of fear.
While investigators concentrated on their search for the mystery suspect of 13 brutal murders, the press built up the killer's link to AC/DC.
The press assumed an awful lot, and the press put a lot more to the significance of the hat than the homicide investigators.
On August the 31st, the Night Stalker was finally arrested. The press reported that Richard Ramirez, a confessed Satanist, was inspired by AC/DC.
I thought it was a joke at first. And we just thought, this is crazy. I mean, why are we connected anyway?
Reporters analyzed the lyrics to the AC/DC song Night Prowler for connections to the